The rain was relentless, hammering the skylight above my Sausalito apartment like it wanted to break through and drown me. I knelt on the hardwood floor, my knees aching, tying gold ribbons around the last of the welcome boxes for my wedding guests. Each one was a labor of love, handwritten notes, jars of blackberry jam from a local farm, lavender soaps I'd spent weeks sourcing. My hands trembled, not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what I was trying to build. A day that screamed, I am enough, even if my family never believed it. I'd spent $32,000, 0 cents flying them out here, first-class tickets from Chicago to Napa Valley non-refundable, a small fortune I'd scraped together from years of late nights as an event planner. I wanted them to see me, really see me, in a way they never had, not at my Stanford graduation, not at my 30th birthday, not even when I paid off their debts without a single thank you. I stood, brushing dog hair off my leggings, and glanced at my phone. No new messages. My chest tightened. A week ago, I'd emailed the flight itineraries to my parents, Margaret and Paul, and my sister Victoria. No response. Not even a cursory thanks. I told myself it was fine. They'd show up. They had to. This was my wedding, the one day I wasn't just the afterthought daughter, the one who fixed their messes while Victoria, their golden child, soaked up the spot. Around the room, my laptop buzzed with an incoming video call. I hit accept, and Mina, my co-planner, appeared, her curls bouncing as she leaned into the camera. Amelia, those boxes are gorgeous, she said, her voice warm but edged with concern. You sure you don't want me to handle the final RSVPs? You've got enough on your plate. I shook my head, forcing a smile. No, Mina, this is mine. I've got it. She raised an eyebrow but didn't push. She'd heard enough over coffee breaks to know my family wasn't the Hallmark kind. We talked logistics, seating charts, menu tweaks, the vineyard's backup plan for rain, until she had to jump off. The screen went dark and I was alone again, the rain's rhythm mocking the silence. I checked my email. Nothing from Victoria, nothing from Mom or Dad, just the confirmation from the airline staring back at me. 4 round-trip tickets, San Francisco to Napa, $32,117.64. My savings poured into a gesture Lucas, my fiancé, sat at the kitchen island sketching wireframes for some tech startup. His pencil scratched softly, a steady counterpoint to the storm outside. He looked up, his hazel eyes catching mine. You sure you don't want to invite more friends, Amelia? You always go big for everyone else. What about you? His voice was gentle, but it carried the weight of truth. Just want them to show up for once, I said, barely above a whisper. He nodded, but his lips pressed into a thin line. He knew. They hadn't come to my graduation, hadn't called on my birthday. Victoria always had an excuse, a photo shoot, a crisis, her twins' recital. I turned away, grabbing my jacket. I'm getting the dress from the porch. Courier texted it's here. The air outside smelled of wet eucalyptus and ocean salt. The box was heavy, wrapped in crisp white paper, waiting by the door like a promise. I carried it to my bedroom, shut the door, and sat cross-legged on the rug. My fingers peeled back the tissue, revealing the gown I'd chosen 2 years ago. Ivory lace, a fitted bodice, a train that flowed like a quiet river. It wasn't flashy, just me, elegant, understated, the kind of beauty I'd always hoped my family would notice. My throat tightened as I touched the fabric. For once, I'd let myself believe I could have something for myself, not just for them. Tears pricked my eyes, not for the dress's beauty, but for the fragile hope it held. I reached into my jewelry box, pulling out a small velvet pouch. Inside was the sapphire brooch Mom gave me when I was 13, her hands warm as she pinned it to my sweater. For your wedding day, she'd said, her smile rare and real. I hadn't touched it in years, afraid it would crumble under the weight of her neglect. Now, I pressed it to my palm, whispering to the empty room, "Maybe this time you'll see me." That night, Lucas and I curled up on the couch, a half-watched rom-com flickering on the TV. My phone lit up with a group text from Mom, Dad, and Victoria. My heart leapt. Maybe they'd finally confirmed. Then I read it. Change of plans. Paris opened up cheap flights, taking that family trip we always wanted. Don't be upset, sweetie. We're using your credits. Thanks. A second message from Dad alone landed like a blade. You're not worth seeing in a wedding dress. The room tilted. Lucas froze, his hand hovering over mine. I didn't speak. I stood, walked to the bedroom, unzipped the dress bag, and sank to the floor, the gown pooling around me like a broken dream. I didn't scream or cry. I just sat, the words burning through me, louder than the rain. They'd planned this. Victoria's husband, Ethan, had rebooked the flights within hours, my money redirected to their Parisian escape. My family didn't just abandon me. They'd orchestrated it. The first danger came that night, as I sat in the dark, the dress still clinging to me. My phone buzzed again, not with a text, but a photo from Victoria, her feet propped on a suitcase, an Eiffel Tower charm glinting, captioned "Made for Paris" with a winking emoji. The image wasn't just cruel, it was a warning. I stood, my legs unsteady, and walked to the window. Outside, under the street lamp, a shadow moved. Someone was there, watching. I froze, heart pounding as the figure slipped into the rain-soaked dark. Was it Victoria's doing? A hired stranger? I locked the door, my hands shaking, and checked the security app. The camera caught nothing but rain. Morning broke, gray and heavy. I hadn't slept, hadn't changed. The dress was wrinkled, my face swollen from silent tears. Lucas's voice came softly from the kitchen. "I made coffee, Amelia. Come sit." I couldn't answer. The silence was louder now, a void where my family's love should have been. I stared at my phone. No new messages, just Victoria's taunt looping in my mind. Lucas approached, then stopped, respecting the glass wall I'd built around myself. "I'll be in the office if you need me," he said, leaving a mug on the counter. I forced myself to move, peeling off the dress like it was my own skin. The shower's heat was both punishment and salvation, washing away the night's weight. In jeans and a sweater, I sat on the bed and opened the airline's app. The truth was there, cold and undeniable. My tickets rebooked under Ethan's name, my money funneled into their betrayal. I called Mom, voicemail, Dad, silence, Victoria. Her phone rang, then buzzed with another photo, her manicured nails holding a champagne flute, the scent in the background. I dropped the phone, my breath shallow. They weren't just gone. They were mocking me. The second danger hit that afternoon. I drove to the vineyard venue, needing to lose myself in work. As I parked, I noticed my car's tires were slashed, the rubber sagging into the gravel. A note was tucked under the wiper, "Cancel the wedding or it gets worse." No signature, but Victoria's perfume lingered on the paper, sharp and unmistakable. My pulse raced as I scanned the empty lot. Was she here? Had she followed me? I called Lucas, who arrived with a tow truck, his jaw tight. "This isn't random," he said, pocketing the note. "We're getting security." Back at the venue, I met a client, a young bride glowing with excitement. "My mom's flying in from Boston," she said, her eyes bright. "She wants to zip me into my dress. It's our tradition." Her words were a knife twisting into the wound my family left. I turned away, pretending to adjust a centerpiece, my vision blurring. The pressure behind my eyes was unbearable, but I kept nodding, kept smiling, until I could escape to the back office. There, behind shelves of candles and ribbon, I let myself break. Silent, tearless, the kind of grief that doesn't need sound to destroy you. The third danger came that evening as I returned home. A delivery van pulled up, a courier in a navy cap handing me a box wrapped in white ribbon. "Congratulations," he said, pointing to the label, "from Mom and Dad." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were roses, their petals bruised, and a note. "We're coming to support you. Don't shut us out." But the box emitted a faint ticking, not loud, but deliberate. I dropped it, backing away, heart hammering. Lucas called the police, who found a small, harmless device meant to scare, not harm. "A prank," the officer said, but his eyes lingered on the note. "Someone's playing games." I barely slept that night, the ticking echoing in my mind. By morning, I was back at work, forcing myself to focus. The venue hummed with preparations. String quartets testing, linen deliveries rolling in. I greeted another client, my smile a mask, but the bride's chatter about her family's traditions cracked something inside me. I excused myself, retreating to the office again, where I pulled out a leather photo album from my bag. It held our family's lies. Victoria's baby shower, Mom's 50th, Dad's retirement, smiles that hid their indifference. I logged into our shared drive and hit remove access. I wasn't their historian anymore. The fourth danger struck that afternoon. My email pinged with a notification. My wedding plans, private emails with vendors had been leaked online. A hacker, traced to an IP in Chicago, had posted them on a public forum with cruel comments mocking my desperate need for a perfect day. The post was signed V. Victoria. I called my lawyer, Sarah, my voice steady despite the panic. "Can they do this?" I asked. She was calm, clinical. "We'll file for a restraining order. This is harassment." I hung up, my hands cold. Victoria wasn't just betraying me. She was trying to unravel me. I called Mrs. Callahan, my high school English teacher, who'd let me crash on her couch when my parents cut me off during college. Her voice was warm, like a hearth fire. "Amelia, I'd be honored to come. Front row." Next I called Dr. Weston, my law school mentor, who'd written me recommendation letters when my family wouldn't. Then Lilla, the daughter of a client whose hand I'd held through her mother's surgery. Each call rebuilt something they'd torn down. Not revenge, but truth. My truth. That night, Lucas and I sat on the couch, a quiet sitcom playing. He broke the silence. "They never saw you as a daughter, just a bank account. Why?" I exhaled, the weight of years spilling out. I paid for Victoria's car after she crashed it, covered her tuition gap, paid Dad's IRS debt. No one said thank you. Lucas's eyes darkened. "They don't deserve you." I nodded, something shifting inside me. I wasn't their doormat anymore. The fifth danger came at dawn. I stepped outside to grab the newspaper and found a package on the porch, no label, just my name scrawled in red ink. Inside was my sapphire brooch, the one Mom gave me, now bent and scratched, wrapped in a note, "You don't get to wear this." I clutched it, my breath catching. Had they broken into my apartment? The security footage showed a hooded figure at 3 a.m., too blurry to identify. Lucas called the police again, his arm around me as they dusted for prints. "We're not letting them ruin this," he said, his voice steel. I stood in the kitchen, tying ribbons around jam jars for the guests who'd earned their seats. Lucas was outside, hammering the last nail into the wedding arch we'd built. Raw wood, wrapped in vineyard ivy, imperfect, but ours. The rain had stopped, leaving a crisp golden light. I brought him a thermos of cider, and we sat on the porch swing, clinking mugs like they were champagne flutes. "Next weekend," he said softly. "It's real." I nodded. "It already is." Then tires crunched on the gravel. A black SUV pulled up. Dad's. My spine stiffened. Lucas stood, his hand brushing mine. Mom stepped out, her silk scarf too pristine for our muddy drive. Victoria followed, sunglasses perched like she was on a red carpet. "Surprise," Mom chirped, her smile fake. "We wanted to clear the air before the big day." Victoria smirked. "Let's not drag up the drama, okay?" I didn't move. "I've made peace," I said, my voice steady. "This isn't a good time." Mom laughed, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Oh, honey, we've all said things we regret. Like that text. We were hurt too." I raised an eyebrow. "Hurt? You said I was worthless in a dress." Victoria waved a hand. "Can we not?" Mom pulled a folder from her bag. "We brought this to clear things up before you sign your marriage license." I took it, my fingers steady. It was an estate document, claiming our family home for Victoria once she settled down. My name wasn't on it. "This was always for Victoria," Mom said, her voice saccharine. "It's not personal." I tore the pages in half, the sound sharp in the quiet. Mom gasped, Victoria's eyes narrowed. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "Blood matters." I met her gaze. "Then you should have acted like it." They left, Dad never leaving the SUV. I didn't watch them go. I just set the jam jars on the table, my hands steady, and let the door swing shut behind them. The vineyard air was thick with the scent of blooming jasmine and damp earth as I stood in my Sausalito apartment, folding linen napkins into wicker baskets. Each one held a jar of blackberry jam, a hand-poured sage candle, and a scroll with a guest's name and a personal note, my way of saying, "You're here because you chose me." My hands moved mechanically, tying burlap strings, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the confrontation with my family yesterday. Mom's fake smile, Victoria's venom, Dad's silence in the SUV. They'd come to rewrite my story, to claim what wasn't theirs. I'd torn their forged estate document in half, but the weight of their betrayal lingered like a bruise. Lucas was outside, his flannel sleeves rolled up, securing the last ivy-wrapped beam of our wedding arch. The wood was uneven, the stain a little splotchy, but it stood proud in our backyard, a testament to what we'd built without them. I watched him through the kitchen window, his hammer striking with quiet determination. My heart ached, not with pain, but with the kind of love that grows in the cracks of a broken foundation. I carried a thermos of cider out to him, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the grass. We sat on the porch swing, mugs clinking, the silence between us warm and alive. "It's almost here," he said, his voice low. "Our day." I nodded, my throat tight. "It's already ours." Then, gravel crunched under tires. Not Dad's SUV this time, a delivery van, nondescript, with a courier in a navy cap stepping out. My stomach twisted, remembering the ticking package from 2 nights ago, the one meant to scare me. "For you, Miss Thorne," he said, handing me a box wrapped in white ribbon. The label read, "From Mom and Dad." Lucas was at my side in an instant, his hand steadying mine. "Careful," he whispered. I opened it slowly, braced for another threat. Inside were roses, their petals soft but edged with brown, and a silver-trimmed card. "To the future Mrs. Carter. We're coming to support you. Don't shut the door on family." The words were practiced, manipulative, like a script they'd rehearsed. No ticking this time, but the message was its own kind of bomb. I stood frozen, the card trembling in my hand. Lucas read it over my shoulder, then folded it shut. "They're not done," he said, his voice edged with steel. "They think they can show up and take this from you." I nodded, my jaw tight. They won't stop at words. We didn't speak it aloud, but we both knew. My family wasn't just coming to crash the wedding. They were coming to dismantle it. That night, we revised the guest list with our coordinator, Hannah. Lucas added a security note, Only listed guests, referred to court file for exclusions. I didn't flinch as we finalized it. No waiting for apologies, I said. Hannah hesitated. You sure? Lucas answered for me. She's sure. The first new danger came at midnight. My phone buzzed with a voicemail, no caller ID. I hesitated, then hit play. Victoria's voice slithered through, too sweet, too calm. Hey, big sis, saw your little stunt with the estate papers. We're coming anyway. This day isn't yours, it's ours. Family owns it. The message ended with a soft click, like she was smiling as she hung up. My blood ran cold. I played it again, then saved it, not for the sting, but for the proof. Lucas sat beside me, his face unreadable. They're testing you, he said. They want you to break. I met his eyes. They won't get that. The next morning, I met Pastor Ellis at a cafe near the Napa chapel. His warm handshake steadied me, but his brow furrowed as we sat. I got a strange call yesterday, he said, his voice gentle. Someone claiming to be your cousin, saying you're under stress, maybe reconsidering the wedding. My breath caught. They said you'd had a breakdown. I leaned back, the cafe's chatter fading. It's Victoria, I said. He's trying to sabotage this. Pastor Ellis squeezed my hand. I've seen a lot of weddings, Amelia. I know sabotage when I hear it. I nodded, gratitude mixing with rage. They weren't just rejecting me. They were trying to erase me. I called my lawyer, Sarah, from the car. Can they show up uninvited and claim anything? I asked, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. She was calm, precise. The venue's private property. The marriage license is filed. I can have a protective order ready by noon. I exhaled, feeling the ground solidify beneath me. Do it. By the time I got home, Lucas was upstairs reviewing music selections with our violinist. I pulled a folder from my office drawer, legal documents we'd prepared months ago, just in case. I slid it across the kitchen table to Lucas. If they come, I said, give this to the officer. No arguing, just facts. He nodded, his fingers brushing mine. Let them come, I added. They'll find out who I am. The second danger struck that afternoon. As I checked RSVPs, my laptop pinged with a notification. A blog post shared across local Napa forums titled Amelia Thorne's Wedding Sham. It claimed I'd fabricated the family drama for attention, calling me a disgraced planner who'd stolen funds from clients. The author? Anonymous, but the phrasing reeked of Victoria's smug tone. Comments poured in, some vicious, others skeptical. My hands shook as I called Sarah again. It's libel, she said. We'll trace it and sue. I hung up, my heart pounding. This wasn't just personal, it was public, designed to humiliate me before my guests arrived. I pushed through, meeting with our florist at the vineyard. She was arranging ivory delphiniums when her phone buzzed with the same blog post. Amelia, is this true? She asked, her eyes wide. I forced a smile. It's a lie. My sister's desperate. She nodded, but I saw the doubt flicker. That night, I called Mrs. Callahan, Dr. Weston, and Leela, inviting them to a pre-wedding dinner. Their voices, warm, unwavering, reminded me who my real family was. I wasn't alone, but the world was watching, and Victoria knew it. The third danger came at dawn, 2 days before the wedding. I woke to a flood of notifications. My social media accounts had been hacked, replaced with mocking posts about my pathetic wedding. Photos of my dress, stolen from my private cloud, were captioned, "Not worth the price." I froze, my stomach churning. Lucas called a tech friend who traced the breach to an IP linked to Ethan's company. They're escalating, Lucas said, his voice low. We hired a cybersecurity firm to lock my accounts and file a report. I sat in the dark, staring at the screen, feeling exposed, violated, but I didn't cry. I rebuilt my passwords, my resolve hardening. The vineyard was buzzing by midweek, string lights twinkling like stars above the trellises. I walked the grounds, checking table settings, when the fourth danger hit. A worker rushed over, pale. "Amelia, the arch, it's damaged." I ran to the backyard, where our handmade arch lay splintered, saw marks clear on the beams. A note was nailed to the wreckage. "You don't get to build without us." My knees buckled, but Lucas caught me. "This is them," I whispered. "He called the police, who dusted for prints, finding none." "We'll rebuild it," Lucas said, his jaw tight. We worked through the night, hammering new beams, weaving fresh ivy, our hands raw but defiant. The fifth danger was the worst. The day before the wedding, I arrived at the venue to find the power cut, the generator tampered with. A scrawled message on the breaker box read, "No lights, no love." The electrician confirmed sabotage. My heart raced as I called Hannah, who scrambled to rent a new generator. Guests were arriving tomorrow, and Victoria was trying to plunge my day into darkness. I stood in the dim vineyard, my breath shallow, but I didn't break. We rerouted power by midnight, the lights flickering back on, illuminating the arch we'd rebuilt. Wedding day dawned, the sky a soft gold. I stood in the bridal suite, my lace gown hugging my frame, the sapphire brooch pinned to my bodice. Lucas had visited earlier, kissing my wrist. "They don't touch this day," he whispered and left me to breathe. I looked in the mirror, not nervous but alive with clarity. Outside, the chapel garden hummed. Mrs. Callahan in her gifted scarf, Dr. Weston adjusting his tie, Lila laughing with her mom, my chosen family, small but fierce. A knock broke my thoughts. My stylist Jenna slipped in, her face pale. "Amelia, they're here, your parents, and Victoria at the gate." My pulse quickened, but I didn't flinch. I'd known they'd come. I walked to the window, peering through the lace curtains. Victoria, in a garish pink dress, argued with Officer Daniels, our hired security. Mom, overdressed, gestured wildly. Dad stood back, arms crossed, half-hearted as always. Victoria's voice carried. "She has no right to lock us out. We're her blood." Daniels held up the court order, his stance unyielding. I watched her scream, her hands flailing, and felt nothing but calm. Mrs. Callahan entered, holding my bouquet of white roses and eucalyptus. "Ready, sweetheart?" she asked, her eyes steady. I smiled, real and full. Never readier. We walked down the corridor, past the window where my family's voices had faded. The gate was clear, the air cleansed. The double doors opened to the garden, and every eye turned to me, not with pity but with awe. Mrs. Callahan's arms steadied mine, her presence stronger than any father's could have been. A guest whispered, "That's dignity." I stepped into the sunlight, my gown catching the breeze, and felt weightless, free. The ceremony was brief, raw, real. Lucas's vows were quiet but fierce. "You're my home, Amelia, always." I spoke mine through a lump in my throat, promising to choose him, to choose myself. The crowd, my crowd, cheered, their love louder than any absence. The reception unfolded under twinkling lights, tables adorned with my handmade touches. Mrs. Callahan shared cake with her grandson. Lila raised a glass, and Dr. Weston told stories of my law school days. They weren't blood, but they were mine. Marisol, my photographer, moved like a shadow, capturing unposed moments. She'd known me since I was 19, sweeping her studio for headshots I couldn't afford. Now she caught the truth in my laughter, the way Lucas's hand rested on mine. One photo stopped me later. Me, mid-loft, surrounded by my chosen family, Mrs. Callahan's hand on my shoulder. Lila's grin lighting the frame. I posted it that night, no hashtags, just a caption. "Sometimes blood is what you bleed to get free." I didn't check the likes. I didn't need to. By morning, the post had exploded. 30,000 shares, messages from strangers, old classmates, even a nurse I'd worked with years ago. "You held my hand when I lost my patient," she wrote. "You're the strongest woman I know." The San Francisco Chronicle emailed wanting to feature my story. I read it twice, my robe loose around me, coffee cooling on the counter. Then Victoria screenshot my post, sending it to the family chat. "She's embarrassing herself." So dramatic. Dad was silent as always. I locked my phone. Not angry, just done. Elise, my cousin, emailed later. "We hadn't spoken since I was 21, split by a family feud I didn't start." "Your post broke me," she wrote. "Can I come?" I cried then, not from pain, but from something warmer. Connection. I pinned her note to my mirror beside Mrs. Callahan's RSVP and Dr. Weston's. The mirror no longer reflected absence, but proof of who stayed. Days later, a whistleblower leaked documents proving Victoria's Paris trip was funded by unauthorized withdrawals from our family trust. Money I'd contributed, thinking it would earn their love. It wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. Lucas's best man, a family law attorney, filed a challenge exposing Victoria's financial misconduct. The internet roared. Classmates shared stories of her cruelty. Strangers called me brave. I stayed silent, letting the truth speak. Weeks later, in our new Charlotte home, a white 2-story with a deep porch, I found a letter in the mailbox from Mr. Lerman, my high school music teacher. He wrote of my piano recital at 16, how Victoria's glare had chilled him, how he regretted not speaking up. "Your story gave my students permission to take up space," he said. I sat at the kitchen table, the oak trees outside swaying, and felt peace, earned not given. That night, Lucas grilled salmon on the patio, the air sweet with gardenias. I handed him a folder, the trust, now an education fund for foster girls. "I didn't take it back," I said. "I gave it forward." He touched my hand, whispering, "That's you." Later in our bedroom, I stood before the mirror, no gown, just jeans and a blouse, my hair loose. I saw myself, not the scapegoat, not the forgotten, but Amelia, loved, whole. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Mom. I deleted it without listening, not out of spite, but because I was free. Lucas joined me on the porch, his arm warm around me. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. My wedding wasn't just a beginning. It was a return to myself.